Upon leaving the Death Gate, your ship is surrounded by water. A light from an underwater sun glints off the crystalline domes of the orbiting moons. Underneath the nearest, you see an entrance, so you guide your ship inside. Alright. Let's start this off by saving. And let's start exploring. Your ship has landed on a beach which rises to a dark cave in the rock wall. A shimmering city lies to the west. You notice that the stone you're holding has started to glow a faint green. It also tingles a bit in your hand. Ah, that means that we must be close to evil. We have a bottle, so let's put some water in it. Just in case. A thick wall surrounds the city-side's glowing dome. In front looms a gate upon whose door is a huge graven spell. You get the distinct impression that you are being watched. A smooth block divides the wall surrounding the city. A rune structure has been carved on its surface. Well, if you recognize this spell, it is actually the warding spell, obviously by the barrier. So we need to rune transfer. Crap. No. We need to find, I believe it's this piece, and rune transfer it onto there, since that will complete the spell for possession. You transfer the symbol from the rune bone onto the city gate. Immediately the rune appears at the end of the spell, modifying it from a powerful ward into a possession spell. Since the possession spell has none of the qualities of a warding spell, indeed is a very useless spell to place upon a city gate. The magic dome falls away to reveal the glistening capital city of the Sartan. The sight takes your breath away. You find it very hard to regain your last breath as you are struck by a wave of terror. All the glimmerings you've experienced before this are nothing compared to the fear that grips you. You've never, ever been so afraid. The sheer emotional impact throws you to your knees. Blood rushes in your ears, a shriek emerges from the depths of your being. In the labyrinth, you always used your fear to advantage. It made you quicker, smarter. This fear is unreasoning. You can't control it. You can't use it. You don't even know what is causing it. Wild-eyed, you almost break your neck, swinging your head around, trying to spy the source. It isn't long in coming. A black, talented claw strikes your back and sends you sprawling to the sand. You twist around but cannot rise. You stare into the blood-red eyes of a dragon. They show you your death, and you can but gibber in response. Ah, a patron. The dragon's voice is as black and oily as his scaled skin. I hoped that if I let you live and watched you for a while, you would succeed where I have failed for so many, many years. And you have. His head swings up to stare at the city. You have opened the city to me. My magic was useless against that infernal spell. But you understand those mystic runes. You changed it somehow. I am grateful to you, patron. In return, I will give you a quick death. Painful, to be certain, but quick. You find that words completely fail you. You lie helpless, trembling under the claw of this dragon. He rears back, inhaling. Flames leak from his nose and mouth. When he appears about ready to loose his fiery blast, something catches his eye. Immediately he curtails his attack to stare at the brightly glowing stone the Zifnab gave you. What is this? This wasn't made by the puny rune magic that you used. How did you come by it? You can't even form the first word of an answer, and it seems that this dragon doesn't really expect one. Its other foreclaw reaches out and delicately removes the stone from your possession. He draws the stone up to his eye for closer inspection. In reaction, he hisses and roars and waves his neck back and forth wildly, sinuously, sprouting flame everywhere. This should not exist. It is impossible. There is only me, saying Drax, I am the wave. His eyes narrow and fix on you once again. When he speaks, his voice is more controlled. You don't mind if I relieve you of this stone, do you? You will certainly have no need of it shortly. He tosses the stone away. It falls on a pile of rocks of similar shape and size. The only way you can distinguish it from the others is by its shine, which is like the sun. Suddenly you take notice of a furry form splayed on the ground. You realize that your dog has been silently crawling towards you on its belly, braving the aura of fear that keeps you helpless. Every inch is a struggle, and it seems that at any second the dog will bolt, but it keeps coming. When it gets near, a quiet whimper escapes its throat, barely audible but loud enough to attract the attention of the dragon. This is your rescue? A life form lower than yourself? I will give it this. The dog is certainly braver than you, patron. The dragon rears back and fills the cavern with laughter. This gives the dog just enough time to crawl within reach. It looks at you plaintively, even puts its muzzle into your outstretched hand. Perhaps the dog is wishing you a fond farewell. It knows what is about to happen. I was simply going to kill you, but I've reconsidered. I won't merely end your life, patron. I will eliminate every trace of you. I'm going to destroy your soul. You will no longer exist on this or any other plane. You should not have brought that stone into my presence. Prepare yourself for oblivion, patron. The dragon rears back again. You assume that no distraction is going to keep it from completing its task this time. You take one look at your struggling companion and draw some strength from his bravery. You might have the wherewithal to do something, if only you can figure out what to do. Well, if we're about to lose our soul, perhaps we should possess the dog. You trace the runes in the air and place your hand on the dog's scruffy fur. The magic swiftly takes hold. You stiffen as you feel your soul passing away. Everything goes dark. Your soul flies into the dog's body, just as Sandrax lets loose the blast of fire. The dog's reflexes leap you away, keeping you from harm. This doesn't save your body, though. The flaming column burns a hole clear through his chest. You can actually see the glowing rock floor below. Sandrax bells in triumph, but then his eyes orient on you. Now, to take care of his mangy pet. Mangy pet. He breathes in, preparing another blast. Let's run to the city. You bolt into the city, narrowly missing the dragon's second torrent of flame. Scared almost out of your mind, you dart into the cluster of buildings. You pad into narrow alleys and twisting side streets. Soon, when you feel you might have lost the dragon, you wander into an open building. Robed figures are filling the seats surrounding you. They all move slowly, yawning, as if just awakened. A man in the front notices you and approaches. This is the meeting chamber of the Sartan High Council. Seats ring the speaking area, where you stand. What do we have here, a dog? He studies you carefully. I haven't seen a dog for ages, but then again, I've been asleep for that long. Hello, boy, I'm Sama. How did you get in here? Did you come with the Sartan forces from the other realms? He crouches down and gives your head a pat, and then looks deeply into your eyes. Suddenly his face goes stone sober and his eyes grow hard. He retracts his hand as if fearful of your biting it off. He addresses the councilmen, now fully assembled. This dog is no dog. It is a vessel for another soul, the soul of a patron. The councilmen gasp and yell, but Sama waves his hands and the room quiets. Two men walk into the room bearing your possessions. They approach Sama and report. We found no other Sartan, no rescue forces. All we discovered were these charred remains of one man and these items. They dumped the items onto the floor. Sama regards the pile of objects and then looks at you. He says to the assembled council, Friends, we have a very unusual situation. Our ward has fallen. This roused us from our slumber as predicted, but instead of greeting the Sartan rescue forces as we expected, all we find is the dog carrying a patron's soul. We need answers, and the only source is this patron. While he exists inside of the dog, he cannot communicate. I suggest that we restore the patron to his original form, so that we can question him. The room erupts in chaos. One council member cries, Bring a patron here, to our very heart. Have you forgotten that the patrons are our mortal enemies? I say leave him in the dog's body. Soon he'll forget he ever was a patron, and he'll be no threat to us. Sama smiles. Do you know what is happening out there? Where are our fellows? Why is this patron here? How long have we slept? It is very possible that the patrons have been rehabilitated as intended. Perhaps this is our rescuer. Is this how you would treat such a guest? No, we shall restore him and we shall have our questions answered then. It is the only way. The councilman folds his arms and stares sternly at Sama, unwilling to cross him, but willing to risk displaying his feelings. Sama continues. Whatever you might think of me, councilman, I am no fool. You may prepare the nullification element. We will administer it to the patron after he is restored. The councilman grunts with approval, and then fetches a bottle filled with water. He traces a quick spell in the air, which flows into the liquid. After a moment of light, the bottle looks absolutely normal. You notice that while you are watching the lone Sartan in his bottle, the entire council has gathered around you. Together they weave an incredibly complex spell that appears to require all of them. Them all. Whatever. Like a blanket, the spell falls over you, sinks into your flesh. The dog's body reacts violently to the Sartan magic. Limbs stretch, tendons pop, your bones start to expand and twist. You let loose yowls of pain, one after another, but notice that each one sounds a little more like a human scream than the last. Finally, you lay on the ground panting and hurting, but in what seems to be your old comfortable body. You feel hands draw you up and clothe you in the garments that remain from the dragon's attack. Then someone pours clear water down your throat. You accept it eagerly. You drink all of the water offered and soon notice a tingling sensation. Somehow the water has removed your ability to cast spells. You are as helpless as newborn against these Sartan. What have you done to me, Sartan? You scream. You've taken my magic away. Calm, my friend, Samal replies. What we have done is temporary and for your protection as much as ours. You have imbibed, I don't know, some nullified water. This eliminates all of your magical possibilities. While you cannot bring any possibilities into this reality, neither can any be placed upon you. This means that although you cannot cast any spells, you are invulnerable to others' magic as well. You have been nullified. It will continue for only as long as we need to question you. Now let us begin. Who are you, why are you here, and how did you get into this city? Why should I trust you? I'm not sure why you shouldn't. I don't even know if we should be enemies. I'm relying on you to tell me this. I'll make you this promise. If you are honest and forthright with me, I will respond to you in kind. I'll answer any questions you have. Now please, tell me what you know. Yeah, aren't you the guy that banished me? Yes, I am that. I know that you can't understand this, but it was all necessary. It was part of a larger plan. I'll explain everything after you tell me what you know. I've seen your plan in action. I'm starting to get that impression, although I am loath to believe it. If you would tell me your story, I would understand much better. Do you know how long you've been sleeping? Not really. I'm starting to think that it may have been much longer than I intended. Well, you've been asleep for a long time. 2,000 years? How is that possible? You must tell me what has happened. This just keeps getting more confusing. Alright. Don't say I didn't warn you. You launch into a tirade, personally blaming Samal for leaving the labyrinth masterless, turning it into a slaughterhouse that thirsted for your people's death. You recount the thousands of years of struggle and bloodshed, which even now plagues your race. You describe your lord's unprecedented escape and tell how he selfishly and safely led others, including yourself, out of the labyrinth. You state that his thirst for revenge against the Sartan is unequaled. If you kill me, others will follow. Even now our army outnumbers that of the surviving Sartan. I have seen your forces, I know where they are, and I know that my lord will destroy them effortlessly. You can't win. You continue by recounting your experiences and describing the state of the Sartan on each of the worlds. Samal cries openly at the description of the dead Sartan in their crystal resting places on Arianis. He seems genuinely confused by the antics of Zifneb on Prion. He recoils on learning of the practice of necromancy on Abarak, and he listens closely to the account of your battle with Sang Drax and of your escape. I have much to say about what you have told me. Your people, you, have been wronged. I wish I could change what has happened, but I cannot. It seems that we took on far too much. We thought we were gods, that we were infallible. We weren't, and both of our races have paid the price. However insane you think I might have been, there was a purpose to the plan. We tried to create worlds in which the Mensch would thrive, once they were united and the realms were interconnected. What your lord seeks to do is collect all of the seal pieces to reform the original world. He doesn't understand what this means. His efforts will result in the death of many of the Mensch left alive in the new realms. Perhaps he does understand. By decimating the opposing force even before the war is joined, he ensures his success. I'm not sure the Mensch left alive will enjoy the slavery he undoubtedly plans for them. What he may not realize is that this will affect his own race as well. Many of his people will die in the reformation. Do you think he would risk that? You consider. You know your lord's ambition. From his research, he probably already